a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week, we're watching Can You Keep a Secret on Paramount Plus, Neighbors on HBO Max, The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins on Peacock, and How to Get to Heaven from Belfast on Netflix.
So stay tuned to the end to find out BJ's favorite petty dispute.
Oh, that's a tough question, but I will think it through.
Until then, why don't you take us over to the UK?
You're talking about Can You Keep a Secret on Paramount Plus? Retired couple Debbie and William Findon, played by Don French and Mark Heap, are presented with a unique criminal opportunity to claim life insurance when William is mistakenly declared dead. Their son Harry, played by Craig Roberts, is caught up in the drama, trying to hide the secret from his wife and local police officer, Neha, played by Mandeep Gill. So, Mitu, what did you think of this kooky, fun, dark setup?
It is so funny. You would think, with the premise of the show being that this man has faked his death in order to enrich his wife and his family, but that all of these systems have failed that led to that. And this is just such a light spoiler, but they were having issues accessing medicine and healthcare, and they pay into their insurance, but they're not seeing the benefit on the other side. And then suddenly, thanks to this wild series of events that they did not put into motion intentionally, he was declared dead. And so they learned that there was a big insurance payout. Debbie had all the intent to say, hey, you're doing this wrong. You're classifying this wrong. She tried. And then that check came and she said, hold on, wait a minute. And so I just think that with such a dark premise, they balance it so well with this being so funny.
I think that it helps so much that this is a loving family sitcom.
Yes.
Where they're not malicious. Like Debbie and William, yes, they are now taking advantage of what happened, but this was not, as you described, planned. And we even see really fun flashbacks as they explain to Harry what happened step by step. And truly, things just weren't working the way they wanted it to and actually intended. And now they have a lot of cash.
I loved those surreal scenes where he's like, you let me think you were dead for 2 months. And they were like, we've been meaning to tell you, sorry. And so they sort of walk him through what happened, and he's in the room with them as they're watching the events unfold. And there is a scene where Debbie is made to kiss her husband, or a man that they presume is her husband, in a casket. And the way that the funeral director goes, some people like to have a final kiss. And the way the actor Don French goes, do they? Do they? Do they? Just over and over again, just begging for anything, any kind of life support, anything to get her out of having to do this was so funny. And then her son's reaction to it was funny. But I agree, that family chemistry, that family love at the core, that grounding makes the concept work.
And I think what's cool is we see the family coming together now that they are bound by this secret. And we learn from Harry that they have not been present grandparents. And so now they can help out with the family financially. I guess William now can't see his grandchildren.
Yeah.
But this is giving them a reason to be in contact more. And that's kind of sweet.
I like the kooky neighbors too. I love the actor Shola Adewusi, who plays their friend Billy. I was delighted to see her. I love the fact that they're going to have to hide these secrets from these ridiculous characters around them as well.
And their daughter-in-law, who is probably not going to support breaking the law. So we'll see how long they can keep that secret.
Debbie and William said, we've been model citizens. We haven't been arrested much.
And they were paying taxes, they were paying into life insurance. And now that they're older, they just want to take advantage of their investments.
Here's the thing. What they're doing in this show is wrong. Yes, sure. But I did write in my notes, hear them out. Because they said, William is sick. Now this money has fallen into our laps and suddenly we can address this disease? That was my thought. I just wrote in my notes, hear them out.
We do know, because the preview for the full series shows that someone doesn't want to hear them out and is actually going to start threatening them and might try to reveal this secret.
Yes, I didn't even notice that happened after the credits as a light spoiler, that it's in the preview, so you know that it's coming. I wish that we had had that even sooner, just like another introduction of chaos. But even with that, I know you said this before we started recording, I would watch this family fumble through this scenario, this issue of hiding this man from the world for, the Brits like to do 6 episodes max, 8 episodes max, like for whatever short season that they put together. I would watch that because this sitcom format of like 30 minutes and it's just let's put William in different rooms was so funny and it felt sustainable.
So with that, what is your official rating for Can You Keep a Secret on Paramount Plus?
This is the perfect accompaniment for my girls who like to eat lunch with a little something to ha-ha to. This is your show.
I think this is a would watch casually for me. It is fun. It's easy to watch. It's such an interesting premise with lots of potential for funny hijinks and situations as they hide William, and people might get too close to finding out the secret. And even though it is a dark premise and William is sick, it is like a lighthearted show, or maybe a show full of love. There's a lot of family love there.
For people who are on the fence about this show, as you know, if you've ever listened to any episode, BJ does not like comedies. He doesn't like to smile. He doesn't really like to see people on screen smile. So for him to say this is a very good comedy.
Wow, that's extreme. But anyway, let's go from hiding living husbands from neighbors to neighbors that just fight.
You're talking about Neighbors on HBO Max. This A24 docuseries follows the complicated and chaotic disputes between neighbors. In this first episode, we meet private homeowners on a beach in Florida and neighbors fighting over a gate in rural Montana.
So my first question, me too, did you sympathize with any of these neighbors as they fought over land?
I picked a clear side in both.
Really? Okay. So I think that already shows there's some interesting potential with this concept if audiences might pick a side.
If you are someone who, if you hear nonsense outdoors, especially for those of us who live in cities where people are closer together, and you run to the window and pitch up the blinds just a little bit to see or hear better or what's happening.
That true story.
This is something we do in my home. Then I think this is the show for you because it allows you to peer into petty disputes. It feels like low stakes. Like I didn't care about one side winning versus the other. I had a favorite in both, but I didn't feel so strongly. There wasn't this like tough emotional pull. Like I think the stakes are light, the show is light, but very, very messy. And so, yes, I liked it from that perspective. This is for the messy girls.
It is messy. It is basically 30 minutes of arguing, which is not bad if that's what you're going into it for. So let's quickly break it down a bit. When we're looking at this horse pasture story, we've got Josh, a content creator who's moved out to this area and put up fences and gates, and Seth, who moved to avoid a plague, who wants to ride his horses around, but the gate is in the way. Whose side are you on?
Seth, because Seth's wife put it best. Josh brought that city attitude to the country. You don't put gates on roads. These horses got to roam free. So I was pro Seth.
I am pro Seth if I have to pick a side. I feel like his request makes sense. They never showed a clear map of this road that Josh built a gate on, but it sounds inconsiderate in a neighborhood.
I also loved that Seth and Josh like each other. They don't want to admit it. They're D&D nerds. They're putting on for their wives, but they want to be friends so bad. Josh mentions it. He talks about how he and Seth have similar interests. Seth shows the cameras the cave that he's building, his fallout shelter for when the big war happens. And he says, I would allow Josh to come in. Josh mentions that he and Seth have likely played D&D together if they both play similar online games. Like, they want to be friends so bad. Even toward the end, there's a moment where they try to have some kind of mediation resolution that doesn't come. I think maybe we should say that as a heads up to everyone. Like, this is just open-ended arguing. There is not going to be like a neat resolution here because it's real life and people are weird and they're stuck and they are stubborn. But the way that they shake hands at the beginning before they get into the mediation, I was like, these people want to be friends so bad. And their wives and the other things around them and this desire to be like a quote unquote man or whatever is what is keeping them apart.
A literal gate.
Yes.
A fence is keeping them apart.
There's a scene where Josh kind of braces himself. He's like, here comes Seth, and he's going to fight me, and blah, blah, blah. And then Seth rides up, and he goes, hey, did you drop this over there? And Josh is like, yeah, I did. And he was like, thanks, man. They want to be besties so bad.
Seth, and even we see some other people in the neighborhood, are all very neighborly.
Yes.
The definition of it, and it's Josh who seems to be the outsider. Then we have the beachfront, a different situation where we have neighbors with a private beach that are against Sarah and the shoreline defender who want access to this strip of public beach sandwiched between properties. So the neighbors are neighborly with each other, but are ganging up against the public.
Yes. I'm pro shoreline defender. Well, okay, let me be so careful about how I say that. In the show, what I saw, generally, I'm anti the concept of private beaches. How do you privatize something like that? That is so bananas to me, especially in a place like Florida where people are accustomed to being able to go to the beach. So that is why I am pro people accessing the beach. And I think if you're able to do a peaceful demonstration where you are on the public part of the beach, why not? And I think everyone on the other side of the conflict, I don't like.
Yes, I think that's a fair take. I think a lot of the problem comes from other voices in this argument who are not doing it the same way that the shoreline defender is. And yeah, there's a whole nother person, Mike, the First Amendment auditor, who actually is causing more problems than helping.
The First Amendment auditor was so wild and so disruptive that the two core warring factions actually went to lunch and they were like, hold on, maybe we can just talk about this like people. And obviously it didn't work out, but he drove them to that because he was such a wild character. But I also met the shoreline defender, the person who's like in a full body mask where he is not.
He's not going to put his face out there.
Yeah, he doesn't want
smart.
his face, his voice, nothing. It is smart.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I too would do a full body latex suit. I get it, but wow, it was jarring to see on my screen. That guy's just walking around Florida.
Also,
think about how hot that is.
Probably just when the cameras are pointed at him.
Sure.
Also, can't the neighbors just build a fence? This is a case where I think a fence would be good.
Yeah, but then how do you get to the public strip?
Well, they showed a map. There's a sidewalk that goes straight to this little strip.
Okay.
And it's people are going to the sides where they're not supposed to.
So maybe the Backstreet Boys and them got to build that fence.
But then they're like, who's going to pay for the fence?
Yeah.
The county won't pay for it. We don't want to pay for it.
That's Neighbor season 2.
Someone stole my umbrella. Will you be there for more seasons and episodes of Neighbors on HBO Max?
Yes, but I would have to watch this casually. For my fellow babies, it is a little energetically taxing, which feels like such a silly sentence to say, to watch people argue for 30 minutes straight. But it is very, very juicy and funny.
I can see some of the appeal. The fact that there is no resolution disappointed me, and it made me feel like I watched 30 minutes and got nowhere, which is what happened with these neighbors in real life. So that's why I would not watch again. I think it's really well done and a cool concept, but if I'm going to see people argue, I want to see a satisfying resolution.
Well, why don't you take us from a path to nowhere to a path to redemption?
You're talking about The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins on Peacock. This is a comedy about a disgraced ex-football star, Reggie Dinkins, played by Tracy Morgan, and a washed-up filmmaker, Arthur Tobin, played by Daniel Radcliffe, as they both try to make their epic comeback. So me too are sitcom aficionado. What did you think of this mockumentary style show?
I'm going to stand in front of this show with my arms outstretched to protect it from any critique from you or any other naysayers. It is so funny and cute and light. And yes, people put Tracy Morgan in things for him to be Tracy Morgan. Is he the same character in all of these things or very similar? Sure. But it's funny and it works. And I think it is so quirky and odd to see this odd couple of him and Daniel Radcliffe. And then you put in Erica Alexander as Monica, Reggie's ex-wife. You have me. So I think it's very, very funny.
It has an interesting concept. As we mentioned, and as you mentioned, it's about redemption. Reggie is trying to make his comeback after a scandal with his career. We find out Arthur had a scandal, and Monica, who is Reggie's agent, her career is tied to his success. So she also needs the comeback. And I think that's really sweet.
I think that grounding is very helpful. Reggie loves Monica. He wants to do right by her. He wants to bring in better business that she can represent. He loves his son, Carmelo, played by Jalen Hall. He wants his son to be able to look up to him. He also loves his best friend.
Not be embarrassed to have that name.
Exactly. And he loves his best friend, Rusty, his best friend regardless of race, played by Bobby Moynihan. And he wants to do right by him because Rusty was caught in the gambling stuff, which, again, that was another place in my notes where I wrote, hear him out. He was only betting on himself.
Honestly, that part I was like, that's not as bad as some other people.
Yeah. So in this like very skeptical world, to watch these, especially core three of Arthur, Monica, and Reggie being like, look, this is something that we can make work for each other. I thought that was nice.
It was nice. It also got confusing from a literal way the show was put together point of view. We are watching them film the documentary, and there's the one that Arthur is filming. There's the version that Reggie wants.
Yeah.
And then the actual show, The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins, is structured like a documentary.
Yeah.
And it all blends together.
You got to just take each scene for what it is, which is funny.
You know what line I thought was funny?
Yeah.
A son is just a homie you make.
I wrote that down too. Like I always say, a son is just a homie you make. Because his son was like, Dad, you were going to teach me how to dougie. And he's like, it's Dougie, Carmelo. And
we practiced this.
I thought there were so many funny moments, like when Monica confronts Arthur about the concept and he's talking to her and he at one point just goes, doc, short for documentary. And she looks directly into the camera like, can you believe this? Incredibly funny. There's a surprise moment where Reggie has this, I don't even want to spoil it because I know if you like comedy, you'll watch this. where he demonstrates like a knowledge base in sort of an odd and rare thing that is incredibly funny as well. It's just so good. So light.
And I do like his fiancee, Brina, played by Precious Way.
Yes.
They first present her as maybe like the young, naive, silly character, but you actually see that she plays a legitimate role in this new family structure that they have. And I like that surprise twist on that character.
Yes, I like that Reggie and Monica are happily and respectfully divorced. Like they love each other, they respect each other, and they don't want to be married to each other. And I like that Brina has a good relationship with Monica, Monica with Brina. At one point, Reggie and Monica have a falling out and he hurts his leg and Brina runs up to him and she's like, Reggie, I called every doctor in your phone and they're all DJs. And Reggie goes, and Julius Irving, which for Basketball Hive, you would get that. And she was like, you need to call Monica because she was like, she keeps us alive.
She does. We find out that Monica keeps an air tag on Reggie and that worked out in their favor one time.
Very much so. So, Beach.
Which our listeners, don't put air tags on people.
Please do not do that. Yeah, do not do that. With that final scary note, do you wish to smile and laugh and giggle with more episodes of The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins on NBC and Peacock? Or do you want to just keep like hiding those teeth? You let me know. And the listeners.
That's such a leading question. No. Oh, okay. I guess that's just how I interpreted that. I would maybe watch while folding laundry. There are some funny moments. The structure is confusing. It didn't win me over, but I think they have a really good cast. And those are my thoughts. How emphatically will you keep watching this show?
I'm sat every Monday. I'll be watching this. I'll be watching it on NBC.
I know. You're actually waiting. It's on your calendar. You have an alarm set.
Okay. That's taking it a step too far. But I am.
Am I wrong?
I do have an app that tracks the TV I watch. That's true. So it's in my upcoming schedule. But no, I don't have like a G-Cal for it. But I do look forward to more episodes. If you are Sitcom Hive, if you are Tracy Morgan in a Sitcom Hive, if you want to watch the guy from 30 Rock do the same thing on this show, but this time opposite Daniel Radcliffe and Erica Alexander, please tap in. I think it's very funny.
And with that, let's go from a show that is funny ha-ha to funny creepy.
You're talking about How to Get to Heaven from Belfast on Netflix. From the same mind behind Dairy Girls, this comedy thriller follows three close friends who learn the estranged fourth member of their group has unexpectedly died. When they travel to a small town to pay their respects, strange events happen at the wake, and a long-kept secret threatens to come out, driving the trio into investigating their friend's mysterious death.
I would just say a lot of creepy stuff happened to these three friends as they went to a small town, and I would have turned it back way sooner. In fact, they didn't turn back, but I would have turned back as soon as something bad happened.
Yes, we have Robin, played by Sinead Keenan. She's a tired mom of three. Dara, played by Keelan Dunn, who's kind of like a chatty empath. And Sorsha, played by Roisin Gallagher. And she is a successful TV writer and creator. And there is a moment where they turn away, where something very creepy happens at the wake and they jet. They leave, they literally fly out of there. Or let me not say literally, but
they're threatened.
They get as close to flying out of there as they can. But whatever this core mystery is keeping them in it. Sorsha even confronts Dara about it. She's like, we haven't come to pay our respects for our friend. We've all come to make sure she didn't tell our secrets. And I thought that was really interesting. But I also think there might have been too many threads.
Yes, it is a very mysterious show. And like you said, we quickly learned that these three friends have lost touch with Greta since school. So there's been a long gap. So it's a little odd that they want to reconnect now, to the point where Greta's husband has no idea who they are, but they show up for the wake. And there are suspicious people everywhere. Greta's whole family is suspicious. The police officer mechanic is suspicious. the hotel front desk person is suspicious. I don't even know if I trust all the people we saw in the hotel.
The server was rude at the restaurant. Not suspicious, but rude for a server for a tipped job.
Add that to the list.
It's true. There were so many places to look that I couldn't tell, which I guess is the intent of the mystery, but I couldn't tell what I should be focusing on. These matching tattoos that they have, whatever this teen girls have to keep a secret and they've grown up and now something is threatening to have it come out. That's like a very successful trope for a reason. Then, yes, we have this husband, this family. We also, I think, are seeing some clues that the husband might have not been a great one. Sorsha sees something in a picture of Greta and her husband on social media that makes her uncomfortable, clearly. And then, yes, every single person is creepy. Even the daughter, though she was honest.
The daughter was creepy. That's the best we can hope for, because we're also getting some questionable narration, because I'd say someone, maybe all three of them, I think mainly Sorsha, is having strange dreams or flashbacks or visions. And so some eerie, creepy, mysterious stuff is happening on top of all the suspicious people around these three friends.
With that said, this show is so funny. It is a comedy thriller, truly. I laughed from open to nearly close.
I have to agree. It is funny. I think the funniest moment for me was when Robin starts complaining about a man in her life, but it turned out to be her 1-year-old son.
When she said, things with Patrick have gotten very bad. He's been doing mind games and gaslighting. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is there a second possibly abusive spouse storyline? And Dara goes, is he not 1? And she goes, he's 1.5, Dara. And then the fact that they were nostalgic for the song Hot in Her. Learning that the show creator also created Dairy Girls made this make sense for me, because there is this clear, deep in girlhood, like you can tell that they grew up together, closeness between these three women, the way that they poke and prod and make fun of each other, that allowed for so many laughs. And it was so helpful to let the tension come out of the room. Even when they were at the wake, which was like peak creepiness, there were moments where they're reacting to weird things like the very strange family photos that I found myself, despite the fact that I was very scared, genuinely cackling.
I think you put it really well. You see how real their friendship feels, because not only are they in creepy moments, they also are in some socially awkward situations. But because of their closeness and history, it can come across as funny to us. And I think even to the characters, they can laugh at each other comfortably.
There's a moment that is so, like, if you grew up very close with someone who's like a sibling, this will feel right to you, where they are running for what they think is their lives. And yet they start getting into an argument over what flavor of cake is best. And that was just so funny. Like, to take the time to do that while you are so scared, it was so good. It felt like a perfect encapsulation of the experience of watching the show.
So with that encapsulation, will you keep watching How to Get to Heaven from Belfast on Netflix?
Yes, I will watch again seriously. I think if you are into these, our friends across the pond love to do like a short thriller series. Hopefully we get to have some solid resolution at the end of it. Then I think you'll be into this one. And there's the added bonus of many laughs along the way, because my girl from Dairy Girls nailed the humor in this one too. What about you?
My rating is one of your favorite ratings.
Okay.
You know, it is wait until Me Too has gotten to episode 3.
Why did I get excited?
And then I can find out if then I can see if the mystery has picked up enough or if it just got more confusing. because I can't tell from the pilot alone if the mystery will be satisfying or it's going to stay kind of scattered and vague. I care more about the mystery than I do just seeing these friends come back together, which strong cast, strong part of the story, but I'm not convinced yet. So we'll wait and see what Me Too reports back after she labors on behalf of the Pilot Podcast.
On behalf of you.
The Pilot Podcast. We are the Pilot Podcast.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, what's your favorite petty dispute?
I don't know. Have we ever had a petty dispute?
I don't think so, except for when you don't want to match clothes with me. But we have, and you hate it.
Okay, then. I don't even think that's my favorite. You're smiling too much, so it won't be my favorite.
There you go, not liking smiling again.
As I am smiling, listeners, I am smiling. I think my favorite petty dispute is when you claim that I don't like laughter and smiles and happiness and joy.
That's very sweet. I'll keep it up then. Where can people find more episodes of the Pilot Podcast where you may or may not smile, laugh, find joy?
All you have to do is go to thepilotpodcast.com and you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at thepilotpod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.